Wrong.
Totally fucking wrong.
Wrong.
That's disgusting.
Wrong.
That's wrong.
You guys are like total fucking idiots.
The wrong guys.
The wrong guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we're talking to each other, and people can hear us now.
People can't
How-
hear us.
how
And
you
if they
doing?
can't, that's
Yeah.
their problem.
It's not my problem.
No.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm having dinner right now.
What are you eating a Kinder Surprise?
No, I wish. Fuck. I'm eating a protein bar.
Okay, that doesn't seem like dinner to me.
Well, it's because my life is, I'm on the go. I'm always on the go.
Okay.
I don't have time to indulge in fancy meal making. So
It strikes me as the kind of thing your mother wouldn't approve of.
probably not. But then again, she's not here, is she?
Yeah, where is she? Exactly. Where is she?
Hmm.
I have names. Do you want names?
I sure do.
Welcome to the wrong guys. That is Marty Hooper. I am Alex Hartman. One of those guys is a character from Jaws, and the other one is a character from Full Metal Jacket. And
It's
that
been
makes
like
this
a
the
month.
wrong
I already
guys.
forget what we. Oh, it was the basic training thing in Sharks.
Yeah, that's right. So
Right.
Hartman is the drill sergeant from Full Metal Jacket,
Yeah.
and Hooper is Richard Dreyfuss's character from Jaws.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we posted that like 2 weeks ago now, and we just haven't had a chance to get together again since then.
No, it's been. I went home for a visit.
Mm.
I went home for a visit for a couple of weeks. And you were also gone somewhere?
Yeah, we went oh my god, I'm clipping so hard. What happened? We went here we go. I went camping in are you familiar with the Pacific Coast Trail? The
Heard of it.
PCT, as all the cool kids call it.
I've heard of it, but I've never done it for myself, obviously.
So south of that, on the same coast, there's another trail called the Juan de Fuca Trail, and so we did a chunk of that the other day.
Was this for work or for?
No, just me and Owen.
Oh,
We
nice.
went camping. Yeah. And yeah, it was pretty sweet, man. We did a lot of hiking, a lot of you know, I'm blown away by how loud my volume is coming out right now.
It just
I'm like,
got louder again somehow. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know what's going on. My
It's
computer
like
is
there's like a gremlin in your computer who's slowly turning the knob up.
Owen said it's because you're yelling.
That's he's probably right.
You think he'd be used to my volume by now. But yeah.
I'm almost done my chocolate bar, by the way.
Yeah, what else is but yeah, so that's what we did. What about you? What else is new? So how is home?
It was good. It was nice to get away I was there for about 10 days, I think. Or yeah, just shy of 2 weeks. It was good to just kind of get away from things.
Okay.
Just kind of like hide out at my parents' place for a while. It was nice to kind of
Very cryptic.
yeah. But you know what I mean? It's like I had a break
Yeah.
in between jobs and I had some time off and yeah, just a nice little getaway. I hadn't been home in like a year and a half. Okay. I'm done.
It does
That one-
that's the clip I'm gonna save right there, is you throwing a wrapper.
Perfect. No, it's always nice. Like my parents' place is always like a nice, like a safe space. You know what
It's
I
an
mean? You just
oasis,
go
yeah.
home. Yeah, it's just like you just go home and like I'm like, wow, I don't have to fucking worry about anything while I'm here. I can just sleep in if I want. I just spent like 10 days just hanging out with them and like just being real chill. So it was good.
Yeah, that's
I
cool, man.
Met my siblings' dogs.
That's
I can't
important.
lie, like when I was like, it was a pretty spur of the moment, last minute trip home. Like I think my mom and I booked a flight. Like we were looking for flights together, and we booked it like a day and a half before I flew home. It was
Okay.
super last minute, but I obviously wanted to go home because I hadn't been home in a while, and this would be my last opportunity for a while. So I wanted to go home and see friends and family. But a large part of why I wanted to go home was to meet these dogs. I can't even lie.
At least
Like,
you're
if
honest.
If they didn't have 2 golden retriever puppies, I may have like been like, well, maybe I'll just come later in the fall or something.
Golden retrievers too?
2 golden retriever puppies.
Awesome.
I blew up my own Instagram when I was home with lots of dog and puppy spam because they're so fucking cute. They're the best.
Yeah, they're the best kinds of they're the best kinds of dog.
Yeah,
I think.
and they're like a year apart. So my sister's is, I think they had just got him for like, they just celebrated his 1 year.
Okay.
Like,
Like
they've had him for a year.
Yeah.
Call that. And he's just like the dorkiest, most golden retriever ever. He's such a dork, but he's so lovable, and like he's the best. He's so funny. And then my brother and his fiance have had, or when we went to visit them, they had theirs for like 2 or 3 weeks. Like, they just got theirs.
Oh, okay.
And I think he's 10 weeks old. So he's like the most photogenic pup you've ever seen in your life. Like, he's so fucking cute. He's like a model puppy. Like, could be in magazines for like puppy chow, like print ads. You know what I mean? Like, he's just got one of those perfectly, just a perfect pup face. Pups are all cute.
Yeah.
He's just got like a little twinkle to his eye that's just like, oh, you're a little bit extra cute.
You're a little extra symmetrical.
But yeah, they're both awesome, and I'm really glad I got to meet them before they got like big and huge. And I'm glad I got to meet them while they were still pups. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Nice.
Who doesn't love puppies?
Yeah, who doesn't love puppies? Especially golden retriever puppies. They're about the best thing that you can get.
Exactly.
Because they're for everybody. It's like even people who don't like dogs are okay with golden retrievers because they're a good ambassador for dogs, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know. I don't think I have anything else to report, really.
All right. Well,
it's the days are getting longer.
Yeah, finally. That's quite nice.
It's nice to have a little bit of sun till like 8 p.m.
I think we're about to do like the end of daylight savings time thing.
It sounds like that's going to happen soon, right? What is it like? What's the holdup?
So my understanding is it's America. It's our trade partner thing.
I thought it was we were holding it up. I thought I heard like everyone down there wants to do it, and they're just like, well, some people in or maybe it's the other way around.
Yeah,
like, basically everyone has to be on the same page.
Yeah, I read an article about it recently where like the BC provincial government, I don't know about like Canada wide, but the BC provincial government kind of was all on board, and they were like, we're just waiting for like essentially California, but it's like California, like Washington State,
Oregon and all that.
Yeah, Oregon to like be on board so that we can do like Pacific trade without having to like be all. But it's like, what does it matter if they're, oh yeah, we're gonna talk like your time or my time or whatever, right?
I don't know. It seems
anyway.
Silly.
Yeah, but it's happening.
I think it's like very easy to sort out one way or the other.
Yeah, it's happening
with like technology and computers and everything and smartwatches. Like, you just make it happen.
I hope,
and that just means we have more daylight at the end of the day.
That's what I was going to say. Is I don't know which ones
are longer.
Well, right? I mean, it just
marginally.
Shifts, yeah, it just shifts the short day over. I just hope whichever one we choose, I hope it's the one that gives us more day at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't mind when it's dark in the morning.
Yeah, it's fine. Who gives a shit?
It's when it gets dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in December. That's like, wow, I may just jump off this bridge on my way home. It's not. It's too much. It's too much. It's too dark, too early.
The thing I couldn't stand was when it's like dark on the way to and from work. It's like those.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, there's like that period of time where it's like it's always dark except when you're at work, it's like that's when you get sad.
Like mid to late December. I guess it's like mid-December, right before Christmas time.
Yeah, that's when you get sad.
21st is the equinox. 21st of December is the shortest day of the year.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So imagine living in like a Scandinavian or like a Nordic country.
They have like government incentives to like keep people from killing themselves. I think.
I believe it.
There's like places there's places where they subsidize trips to the equator.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah. Maybe even in Canada, like up in the Baffin Islands or something.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I feel like the older I get, like every year, it bothers me just a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like every single year, I just get a little bit crankier and a little bit more of that seasonal affective disorder.
Mm-hmm.
Right around Christmas time, I'm just like, ugh, I fucking hate this so much.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, should I be going to bed? It's 4:30 and it's pitch black outside. I hate this. It sucks.
Yeah. It's been dark for 2 hours.
Yeah, it's brutal. Anyway,
Yeah. So anyway, hopefully that bullshit is all over now.
yes.
Um,
Moving on.
Do you want a topic idea? Because I have a topic.
Sure. I actually don't have a topic.
Yeah.
Can we go? Yeah, my computer's all the way over there now, so I can't really.
It came from a suggestion, so it's not mine, which works, I think.
Okay.
Somebody asked me this the other day, and I thought it was an interesting question. Sorry, I just have to. I'll just show you how my notes look real quick, just so you can see how my like.
I'm gonna look over at the monitor.
Yeah, I don't know if you can make any sense of that.
You've got like a bunch of writing on. Is this mirrored? Yes. So your left hand page.
Yeah, this side. This is
bunch
all
of, bunch of text, and then on the right you've got like a column with little check marks and X's. Is that right?
numbers.
Numbers. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Very, very manifesto.
Marty, would growing up now be better or worse than when we grew up? So that was the question. Would you rather be 15 now or 15 like 20 years ago? Like in 20 or I guess 2003.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a cool question, right?
It's a cool question. And I think what's funny about this is that like I think every generation has this sort of like we're in this unique kind of position where we can say like I remember growing up without cell phones, for example. And like I remember going to parties in high school where some of us maybe had flip phones, but like I vividly remember having to print out like MapQuest directions or OC Transpo like trip guide directions.
Or how about like planning ahead?
Yeah, but it was just like, hey, we'll meet at this bus station at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Or around 9 or whatever, and then we'll catch this bus at 9:30. And then like someone had like the directions printed out. Like you take the 97 to get off at this stop, and then you take the 44 to fucking that stop. And then you walk down the street to get to so and so's house for the party tonight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and the last bus is at so and so time, and you have to...
well, if the last bus is like whatever, you figure it out when it's 3 a.m. and like you got to walk somewhere or take a cab or whatever. You don't worry about the last bus.
Okay.
But what I was gonna say is that I feel like if someone like you or I, are we millennials, by the way?
I think so. I think millennials, I should look this up, but I think millennials go to like 95.
Okay. So like a millennial, someone like you or I are in that millennial, whatever demographic would say like, oh, we're in this sort of super unique generation where we've seen things change so rapidly from the time that we were kids to the time that we're like now adults, right? Like we've seen the advancement of the internet and technology and YouTube and fucking everything else. Like we've seen it just sort of grow at this insanely rapid pace. But I think if you were to ask just about any other generation, it's maybe things don't advance as rapidly, but everyone has seen, you know, like if you go back to like the early 20th century, people were born around the same time, and then like the Industrial Revolution happened.
Yeah.
And like cars were becoming a thing. So I think every generation to a certain degree can sort of step back and say like, oh, we've seen a lot of change in our lifetimes.
Yeah. Right? And it's also almost a little like tropey to say like, oh, we had it better because we didn't have this, or because back in our day, you know, it is a little bit tropey. At the same time, this feels genuinely different. Like this is like,
and that's sort of what I was going to say is I didn't excuse me, I didn't want to make it sound like we're the only generation that's seen
right
change. But that being said, I think the amount of change and the speed at which it's taken place in our generation, or in our lifetime anyway, is unprecedented. And I think for this next generation, which is what, Gen Z?
Yeah.
Like all the high school kids now are Gen Z or something?
No, there's a new one now. It's like after. Yeah. Oh, fuck.
Well, anyway, the next generation, it's only going to get crazier and crazier for them, probably. Right? Anyways, I've strayed from the question entirely. Would I have rather grown up now or when I did grow up?
Generation Alpha is the new generation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So Gen Z is 95 to what? Millennials are up to 95. Gen Z would be 95 to 2010 or something.
Okay.
Is it like 15-year gaps?
2010 to the mid 2020s is Gen Alpha.
Okay, yeah. So 15-year gaps roughly. Um anyways, I think I don't know.
So
Like when I look back, I'm pretty content with like how I grew up and how I don't necessarily want to say the freedom that we had as kids, but like
mm-hmm.
I feel, and I obviously don't have kids myself or teenage kids, let alone kids. So I don't know what it's like to tell a kid now who has like a smartphone and access to like Uber and everything else that comes with being a teenager today and like
Yeah,
having
yeah.
access to technology. I don't know what it's like to tell a kid that age, like, cool, you can go to this party on Friday night. Whereas when you and I were going to parties when we were teens, it was like we would just disappear for the night.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's like you tell your parents, like, I'm going to my friend's house for a
And they
party.
either believed you or they didn't.
They either believed you or they didn't, but either way, you were going somewhere,
Yeah.
and you were essentially,
Like off the grid.
unless you had a curfew or you had to be home for something or you had to be home that night, you basically were a ghost. Like you were just gone for the night.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, well, see you tomorrow, maybe, and like who knows, whatever you just fucked off or did whatever you did, right? So like I don't know. There's a certain like I don't know if it's romance in like in having been able to do that. That's sort of like being untethered for a night and just being like going out and being wild and free with your friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And not
I
having
I
to
totally know what
worry
you're
about
saying.
there's a sort of like this sort of I don't know if romance is the right word, but like just the freedom that comes from that when you're a kid is like it's so cool, it's so fun.
Well,
It's
yeah, like here's what I'm understanding from what you're saying, and I kind of sort of here's my take on it, I guess, is like it's easy to look at what you had and then compare it to what's going on now, and especially since your memories are so flawed, like you strip away the shit that sucked about the way that things were, but it's the only way that you knew, right? So it's like the existence that you had is the only existence that you know. So of course it was like great and terrible at the same time.
yeah,
But like the memories that you have of it are mostly positive because that's what you remember, and then you
yeah,
compare it to what's going on now and you go, oh, this is better, this is worse, and you kind of pick it apart and then go, but that side of it is one thing where like obviously you're like projecting your history onto current times and going like, how would that work, right?
hmm,
Because it's not the existence that you're familiar with, so it's not one that fits easily into like your memory. But here's what I would say in terms of like to answer the question more is we have, and I mean even to a lesser extent, but like people who are like maybe 10 years older than us, even more so, have like a distinct memory of pre-internet
hmm,
and then post-internet, right?
yeah,
And and the internet is not better, I don't think, overall for like your state of mind and for like
no, oh god, no,
developing your personality and developing like traits of character that are like generally like positive for the human
hmm,
experience, right?
right,
So that is what I would base my answer on, is I would go like, just because we've lived outside the bubble and inside the bubble, I could
hmm,
say that having only existed inside the bubble would be less good for me, I think, as a person, if I didn't know what like imposed control. Like if you think about like even the early stages of the internet, when you would jump on the internet, it's like you couldn't just do whatever you wanted. Like there was limits to what you could do and there was limits to how quickly you could do it. And
yeah,
so it kind of like forced you to do other things. It kind of forced you to like have some self-control even though it wasn't self-imposed. Now it's limitless. Now it's even getting crazier and crazier, right? So it's
yeah.
like
With like, oh, I'm sure you've heard about all this new AI stuff that's going on, like
the
Chat
GPT
GPT.
thing. Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? I
It's
mean,
wild.
it was honestly a matter of time. Like none of it is. I hear these reports, and I'm like, or these whatever news articles or news stories about what Chat GPT is doing and what AI is up to, and like
Mm-hmm.
none of it is remotely surprising. Is it? Are you surprised? Like I'm like, it maybe happened a little bit sooner than I was expecting it to. Like I thought maybe in 3 or 4 or 5 years, like things would be that instant. But otherwise, I'm not. None of it is surprising to
I'm
me.
kind of staying away from it a little bit. I'm not 100% familiar. Like I haven't seen any
I
examples of it. I know what's
I read.
going on.
I give you. Well, it's more of an anecdote than an example, I guess. But
Sure.
I was reading because uh, Chat GPT like version 4 just came out.
Okay.
I think this week. I don't. Have you used Chat GPT? It's a really crazy tool. It's actually really sick in a lot of
Okay.
ways. It's a little bit scary, but it's very cool in a lot of ways. Like from what I understand, you can like have a look in your pantry and your fridge and just like type in everything that you have that you want to make food with, and like put all the ingredients into this chat browser thing,
Okay.
and then be like, this is what I have, can you give me some recipes? And it'll spit out some recipes for you.
Hmm.
But that's an example of what you can use it for.
Sure. If
But
used for good, yeah.
right, if you use it for good, like you can just use it for just about anything. And like I have some friends who work in the tech space, and they were saying that it's very useful for coding and programming. If you get stuck somewhere, like you can just type in like, hey, this is the issue I'm having, can you suggest like a workaround for this bit of code that I'm struggling with, and it'll just like spit out the right code. So you can like use it to like lean into problem solving for programming and code and that sort of thing. Which leads me to the anecdote I was going to tell you about. When ChatGPT, the most recent version, was released, I think it's version 4.
Okay.
I read an article about it, and this guy on Twitter was saying how he, I think, was like working on developing an app or a program for, I can't remember what it was for. It doesn't really matter. But he had spoken to like a very, but his words, like a very good senior developer about this work that he needed done, and the developer quoted him a 2-week turnaround for the job that he needed, and it would cost about $5,000. And then he went on Chat GPT 4, basically put in the same request, and it had completely programmed the entire thing in 3 hours. And I think he said it cost him like 12 cents to just like to use the thing. Like,
Jesus.
as far as like the membership goes, I think it's $20 a month or something. But it boiled down to essentially cost him less than $1 to get this. What otherwise would have taken 2 weeks and $5,000, he got for less than $1 in 3 hours.
Like, I can't pretend that this doesn't feel like the setup to a Black Mirror episode. You know what I mean? Like,
it 100% is. And like, again, like you just said, like for the good, and like for people like that who are programming code and like designing websites and apps and that sort of thing, like I don't see this can only be useful.
sure,
like it can only help, right? But I know exactly what you're saying. But I know you already have like a propensity to have that sort of
exactly
mistrust of technology and artificial intelligence.
What makes it difficult is when I see this, I'm like, am I being crazy, or am I on, like, is this legitimate?
Yeah. No, I hear you. I understand.
But no, absolutely. And that's a big part. Like I said, it's like I've been staying away from it, and that's why. It's because it freaks the fuck out of me, right? I'm not comfortable thinking about all that and hearing the development, and like,
yeah,
it doesn't make me happy.
There's another, I don't know if it's cool. This one I'm a little bit more torn about, but you can use these same sort of AI technologies to just make art now, and like like insane art, and like any style you want. So you can program these, or not program, but use these browser-based programs. One of them is called Midjourney, I think, or maybe it's Discord. But either way, it's just like a big AI computing service, and you can go in and be like, I want a painting in the whatever a watercolor style from like the Baroque era of a ship being attacked by a dragon. Right. And it'll like work on it for you, and then spit out like the most insane, amazing, exactly what you wanted. Or it'll give you like different options.
Yeah, because we played around with
4 paintings I made for you of It's crazy.
We played around with that a couple weeks ago, didn't we? Like the AI art thing.
Yeah, but that was like a totally different. It's the same idea.
Yeah, it's just already way better.
But like this Midjourney stuff is times a billion. Like it's like legit art that you would have on your wall or you would sell.
Well,
you know, and now there's this sort of I don't know if it's a gray area, but people are conflicted about it, because it's like, well, what happens like to real artists? Like, are they just completely now? Is their art no longer, not that it's no longer valid, but it's like, if you can just, why would you pay a painter or a visual artist any money to paint you something if you can just go on Midjourney and get it for whatever it is, like $20 a month subscription?
Well, why would you pay a coder if you have Chat GPT?
Exactly.
Why would you pay? And that's the whole, like, that's the other side of this whole argument, is like, even if it doesn't go completely wrong and have like this singularity thing where the robots take over and we have like Terminator Judgment Day on our hands, it's like, even if that's not what happens, then then we're looking at like a Wall-E situation where we're all these like 700-pound beasts like floating around on scooters in space, like just watching TV, right? And
Yeah.
it's like it's not much better. I don't think it's not a better existence.
Mhm.
I was recently just watching too the what's they keep advertising it to me. It's that thing where you can like write emails and it like suggests how to write things for you.
Oh, Grammarly.
Grammarly, yeah. And now
Yeah.
they have like a tone thing where it's like, I want this to
Yeah.
seem friendlier, and then you just like click the friendly button and it like
Yeah. Yeah.
changes
Yeah.
shit around. And
Yeah.
it's like that's the level that we're at. And I don't know why I'm letting myself go this way, but it's like we're talking about AIs now and I'm freaking out already. But it's the like literally like 2 months ago, you and I were like on the AI art thing, and it was brand new. We were like, everyone was talking about it, how you could just like,
Yeah.
oh my God, you could just ask it to make you something. And now
Yeah.
you're telling me 2 months later it's perfected. And so it's like,
It's not perfected yet. There's still
no, but you understand what I'm saying. It's like
yeah,
the
yeah,
progress is too quick. It's like it's
yeah.
happening.
But I mean, what I was gonna add to that is like this isn't happening like it's we're hearing about it, like
Mhm.
it's unfolding in front of our very eyes as we hear about it. I don't even know if that makes sense what I just said.
I
But
hear, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
like we're only seeing it as it comes out in the news. So to
Hmm.
us it seems like, oh my god, this is progressing like in a matter of weeks and months, but in reality, like how long do you think Bing and Google and Microsoft have been working? It's probably been 10 if not 20 plus years that they've been working on this kind of shit. So this is just like a culmination of all their efforts into crafting AI, I guess.
Yeah.
But it just like it seems crazy because it's all kind of happening at once. And it's almost like it's a digital arms race now too, right? So ChatGPT, I think, is Microsoft's.
Yeah. No,
I
it's
think
Google. It's Google.
no, Google's is called Alphabet, I think,
Okay. Well, here's the
or
thing
something
is,
else.
you're right, but there's a problem where you like in your statement where having Chat GPT, having an AI code for you is printing a 3D printer. Like now you're at
Hmm.
the point where you're no longer having to work on things. It's just
Right.
things are just being created. So it's like you just like turned the motor on now,
Yeah.
and now we're now we're at we're at the turning point, I guess.
Hmm.
The whole thing just spooks me, obviously, and I think anyone
Yes.
who's ever spoken to me or listened to this podcast knows that.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess to sort of like just because we're gonna spiral out of control here if I
We
don't
already
sort of
have.
try and wrap it back into the conversation we were having, which is obviously
Wait, I
based
had a
on.
question for you. I don't want to forget, but keep
Okay,
going.
go
I
ahead.
just don't want to forget it. No, no, finish your thought.
Well, I was going to say, based on that criteria alone, I would say like I would rather be born 100 years ago than even when I was born. But like in terms of like the ability to exist as a person in your adolescence or whatever, it's like I feel like now you have no control over your personality in terms of how it's portrayed in the world around you.
yeah, there's all these
Uh,
sort of weird external pressures about how you do present yourself because
and there
everything is
always
online and
were,
everything is yeah, but it's different.
but it
It's got
was
to be
only to
different.
the people who were literally around you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like now
Like
it's
of course you
everybody.
wanted to if you're going out to dinner or you're going to school, like you weren't gonna like not shower or try and look nice. Like you were gonna, you know, take care of yourself and present yourself a certain way for the most part.
Yeah.
But now it's like everything online is so carefully curated and like it's just different. And it's
I
an extra layer of like I don't know.
here's how I would put it is I think that we had the same amount of like identity politics going on, but it wasn't as permanent. It felt like you could try things out when I was a teenager, you could become a person for like a week or a month you know what I mean? And then you could
Right.
like transition out of that and become somebody else. Now it feels like you have to become that person, and it's like you have to become that person online. You have to become that person on, and it's I don't do you know what I mean? It's like you have to like pick a group and then that's who you are for the rest of your life.
Right.
It doesn't feel like there's room to develop a personality. You can only just like adopt a personality,
Right.
you
Yeah,
know?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't
I don't
disagree.
know if that's right or wrong. That's just the way that I see it, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
What was your question?
I was gonna ask you, what is your first memory of the internet?
Oh,
Do you have one?
yeah. Have I not talked about this? I have like a clear,
Maybe.
distinct memory of the internet. So,
I mine is crystal clear as well. It's super funny.
all right, we were in grade 4, and we
That's
went to
also in
the
grade four.
yeah, went to the Museum of Science and Technology.
Yeah.
That's where the internet was. And there was a room, and okay, so there's two rooms side by side. One of them has like it's actually like a sub room, so it's like two different rooms inside this room, and there's a fax machine in each one. And then this other room has a bunch of computers that are hooked up to the internet, right?
Right.
So me and my buddy were we had 1,000 bajillion pieces of white paper and some Sharpies, and we were just faxing each other like hilarious pictures. And like, you know, we're like 20 feet away from each other or whatever. We're just faxing each other dumb shit and like drawings of probably penises and stuff. And then we like leave, and I go to the other room with all the computers in it, and one of my classmates has been like buffering this, you know, thing on the internet for like a long time. I guess he knew what he was doing, like he was a rich kid or something.
Okay.
And so I show up, and I'm like, what is this room, like what is this room even for, you know what I mean? And I walk in, and this guy goes, check this out, and he hits like play, and it was Swallowed by Bush X at the time, now Bush.
Yeah.
And it just started at the like, you're the wave, you're the way, and then and it was a music video, and it was the first time I ever saw a music video. And it was the first time, and I couldn't figure out what the fuck I was watching. I was like, what's happening right now? There's a music video inside the useless like solitaire machine. And then I just was like, it was too much for me. And I just left, and I went back and like kept faxing with my friend.
This would have been like 1997 or something.
Oh, yeah.
96 or 97?
97 probably, yeah. Something like that.
Okay.
98 maybe. So yeah, so
okay.
It forever Swallowed by Bush and the internet are like tied together for me.
My first memory of the internet is I'm pretty sure it was also in grade 4, and we were at school, and I don't remember if we were allowed to be on the internet. Like, it was computer class in grade 4, and like I think back then we were like learning how to type or something. Or like, I don't remember what computer class would have been like for someone in grade 4. Maybe it was just like you just go around and like fucking use paint for 30 minutes, and it's just like chill time. Or we played like Oregon Trail or something.
Yeah, there's like a math game you could play or something,
or a math game or whatever
on floppy disk.
Yeah, and I'll never forget, we dared this kid named Vincent. I don't know if I should say his name.
2100.
I'm gonna say no, Vincent. You can bleep that out.
Thanks.
I don't think I like saying names because it gives you more work to do. I wonder what he's up to. He might be in jail. We dared him to go. I think it was to, like, we knew what Playboy was at this point, but no, like none of us had seen it, or like had actually. You just knew it was like naked.
It's a myth.
You know
It's a myth.
It's a myth, exactly. And we dared him to go onto playboy.com, and it was like me and a bunch of dudes, and we're just like huddled around his computer, and like he did it. He's like, oh fuck yeah, I'll do it. And he just went on playboy.com, and then like it went to like the front page, and there was a fucking whatever pinup model on it, and tits were out and everything, and we were all just like, oh,
no filters, nothing.
No, it was full on, no filters, nothing was blocked, because it's like, I don't know, I guess it was so early at this point, like the school probably didn't have like an IT department. They were just like, we just have computers in this little room.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Didn't understand the potential.
Yeah, exactly. And he did it, and then the teacher came around obviously and caught him, and we all scattered, and I'm pretty sure he got suspended for it.
Nice.
And it was like, we just goaded him into doing it. We're just like, no, you got to do it, man. You got to do it. It's gonna be sick. And then he did. Then that's my first vivid recollection of
playboy.com,
of using the internet. It was playboy.com.
Yeah.
I was too young to be exposed to that, let's be honest.
Well, and now it's like, how could you stop a kid?
A couple years before I saw a pair of tits, you know. Could have waited till grade 6, maybe.
Grade 6, yeah. But that's the thing, is it's like, how can you stop that from happening now? It's like there's so many workarounds. There's so many. And arguably it's better for them. It's like, if that's what you wanted to do, not because it's better for you, but because it's what you want, so you could have what you want, right?
How do you mean?
Well, like, if I was 12 right now and I wanted to see porn, it would be easy for that to happen. It's so not easy. Better for me in the long run, but it's something I could do. And so it's like, I could get what I want. So from my 12-year-old perspective, it would be better to
Oh,
be
right.
to exist now. But the argument can be made that it's like, that's the problem. The problem is that you
Oh, yeah.
don't have any restrictions, and so you can
No.
have everything you want all the time. And you see it in people, you see it in how people talk to each other and how people act now, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to wait for anything. There's no reason to ever have to wait for something. I was at the Okay, here's a funny little anecdote just to tell you how people are now, in case you're not noticing, right? I went to go renew my passport the other day. I walk into a room and there's probably 45 people waiting there already. And this is the way it's set up is in 2 separate waiting rooms. This is waiting room 1 of 2. And there's 45 people in this waiting room. So I'm like, I'm going to be here for 3 hours. Sucks, but I brought a book. Here we go. This lady walks in and immediately starts berating this dude because it's going to be so long for her to get her passport. And I'm like, I wanted to stand up and be like, oh, what are you here for? And then just start asking everyone else in the room and be like, see, everyone's doing the same thing. Like, take a seat, lady. This isn't, you're not special here. And that's the problem, is because we're all special all the time. What do you want? You want to listen to this song? Here's this song. You want to see this picture? Here's this picture. You want to know who was in that movie? Here's the guy who was in that movie. Yeah, like, you don't have to wait for anything. A 4-second ad is too much now, right? And all of this stuff just drives your, there was a study done on how people talk to AIs, like, because it's like, it's easier to talk directly to like Alexa or the Amazon one, whatever the fuck it's called.
Alexa is the Amazon one, I think.
Oh, or the other one. Anyway, like any
Siri
of those.
Or
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Google one's just like called Google, I think.
Yeah, hey Google or whatever. Yeah. So because of the way you're supposed to talk to those things, because it's like they need like clear, concise, and also they don't follow multiple sentences through the conversation, right? So you have to like put everything into one sentence. So it's like we've become more direct in how we speak to each other, and we've become less polite and less like courteous, and it's all sort of like driving itself to continue down that road, right? Which is why it's like, again,
yeah, and these are like our behaviors that are probably just slowly being learned, like subconsciously. Like, you're not even aware that this is just, you just become so used to speaking a certain way or doing things, like it just becomes routine, not even thinking about it. It's just like, what's the expression, like death by 1,000 paper cuts, same idea.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like one little thing at a time, and it just builds up to a, I don't know, this sort of monstrosity of like social inadequacy. I don't know, not inadequacy, but like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. You don't know. I think you know what I'm trying to say. It's like, it's like when a single drop of water over like 100 years will just erode a rock to like nothing. And like, or your habits, or your your social habits, or whatever, communication habits, whatever you want to say, the way you speak to people, like this lady at the DMV or whatever, like those things are slowly being eroded by the way you speak to technology or interact with others online, because that's all you ever do.
And there's no need to not do it. Like, you can live in that world 100%.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you go like, yeah, but then you got to go outside later. It's like, you don't have to leave. You don't ever have to leave.
You never do.
Yeah, it's become that. Like, there are jobs that exist exclusively in the metaverse, right? And you can live and have everything exist there for you, and have people bring you your food, and have people make you your food. And it's like, it's come to a point now where it's like, you can't even use that as an excuse anymore, where you go like, yeah, but eventually you'll have to interact with real people. And it's like, no, you don't. There's no reason. If you wanted to live digitally, you could do it.
Yeah.
And it's getting easier and easier by the day, right? Everything's connected to everything, and it's like, you're fucking, especially with, obviously, like, Facebook keeps buying companies, but so does Google, and it's like, it's all the same thing now. It's like the PepsiCo thing, where they're like, they've monopolized by like diversifying the names that they use for different things, but it's like, essentially, you're like, all of your information is centralized, right?
Yeah, your volume just got loud again, by the way.
Oh, what? Why?
Clipping, but I don't know. It seems really loud.
All right, there you go. How's that? Better?
That's much lower. Yeah, it's better. It wasn't anyway. I don't know if it's clipping or not, but it was.
Yeah.
It just was noticeably louder.
I don't know what's going on with my stupid computer. It's probably hates me because
And
I'm talking about it.
Super loud again already.
It's
weird. I'm sure
yeah.
it's fine, but I just noticed it get way louder. I was gonna say something else about. Fuck, I forget. No, I forget.
Well, I guess
What were you
that's it.
saying before. Oh fuck. Oh, I thought I had an anecdote as well about.
The
Oh,
passport.
yes. No, you were saying how the lady at the DMV was instantly impatient and was like, I want my passport photo taken now or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, what I was going to say is I've recently noticed that sort of same irrational impatience in myself for certain, not all the time, but for certain things. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? It's weird how it just sort of like started happening a little bit. And then but at least I'm like, I recognize it and I know it's not like real. Like I have no reason to be impatient. So I can still be like, I can still pump the brakes and be like, no. You do not get to be impatient about this.
Well, give me an example. Give me a moment in your life where you were like recently where you were like, whoa, what am I doing here?
Let me see. Let me see if I can think of one. I feel like it's just like little day-to-day things. Like if it's waiting for like an email reply or like a message reply or something. Like I'm trying to sell my truck at the moment.
Okay.
Right. So sometimes I post it on Auto Trader and Marketplace and other places and like sometimes I'll have like a brief exchange with someone about the truck who's asking questions about it. And then I'll send a reply and be like, oh, this is what's going on. I'll send them a few photos and then I'll like close it. And then like 10 minutes later, I'll check it a bit and be like, why haven't they replied? Like we're trying to, do you know what I mean? I'm like, no, what are you doing? There's no,
I'm gonna live my life here.
it's
This
insane.
asshole's
This
holding
is
me up.
fucking insane. I'm like, this is fucking crazy. And like, I know it's not normal. I'm like, I didn't used to be like this. I'm like to think that I'm a relatively, or like a pretty patient person for most things. Like it's one of my, I don't know what you call it.
Virtues.
Virtues, I guess, like almost to a fault,
Traits.
like traits. Yeah. A trait of mine. I know I'm patient and it's, yeah, for better or worse. It's just one of my traits. But until recently, I've noticed little things like that are just like, and it bothers me
Mm-hmm.
that this is happening to me. But like I said, at least now I know, like I've picked up on it, and I'm like, no, you need to slow down, and just fucking, they'll get back to you when they get back to you. Like time will move forward, and like it's just gonna happen when it happens. You know what I mean?
Well,
And like
and I
a thing that I've tried recently. Sorry, just to kind of finish up.
no,
on
go
that
for it.
thought of like this instant gratification you get from Instagram and social media and the internet and all these various forms of, I don't know if you want to call them entertainment or stimulation, I guess, that we're constantly bombarded by.
Yeah.
I've recently, like, photography is a hobby of mine. I've recently got my parents and sister to send me my old film camera from home.
Cool.
And so I threw a roll of film in this old Canon AE1 film camera. And it's been really fun using it. I think I've got six exposures left on the roll that I'm currently shooting. But it's really fun to have to like think about what it is I want to take a photo of and almost like plan it out ahead a little bit, and like it forces you to slow right
I
down.
wouldn't say almost. I would say definitely. Yeah.
Right. And it forces you to slow down and compose and like make sure your exposure is right. It's all analog.
Mm-hmm.
Right. There's no like light meter. There's a light meter in this one, but it's super rudimentary. But anyway, I got a light meter app for my phone, but it's still just like I'm composing the photo and like making sure my aperture is correct and my ISO is whatever set up correctly, and just taking all these things into account and like slowing down the process of taking a single photo. Whereas digital is great because you can, like, the quality is amazing. You can do so much great stuff with digital, but it's just like you can snap and be like, oh, that's wrong. I'm just gonna just flip the dial here, go and then figure it out as you go.
Yeah.
Whereas film, it's small, and I don't know if these photos are gonna be any good or not because I still haven't finished the roll. But it almost doesn't matter because it's like I'm trying to get back to the process of just like slowing things down and just like taking a breath and composing and like, and also what I just, again, one last little thing to add to that is you don't get the instant gratification,
Yeah.
right? So it's like I'll take a photo, and now it's like it's out of my hands. I'm like it's the photo, the exposure is done, it's been taken, it's imprinted on that little roll of film. And until I send it off to get developed, and even then, like that's going to take probably a week as well,
Yeah.
right? So it's not like once I'm done shooting, I don't get to see what those photos look like until I send it off to get developed and then receive. Oh my god! And then receive that roll of film back.
And
So
I
it's
think,
like it's been really fun. I've really enjoyed doing this as like a almost like a I don't know if you call it like a meditative exercise.
yeah, or like
It's
a
kind of
self-actualization or whatever.
yeah,
It's like, yeah.
whatever. It's just it's been good to like force me to slow down
Well,
a little
the
bit.
other thing that it does, and it's maybe just a sort of a secret little byproduct, but it's like it also forces you to take responsibility if it goes wrong. It's like I think one of the most hurtful things that we have going on in our society right now is like fail blog, where like having I was thinking about this the other day, but I was like, where failing at stuff is like worth ridicule, and
Right,
and
right.
it prevents people from trying things, and it prevents people
Hmm.
from wanting to take responsibility for things, because then you become a failure. You know what I mean? And it's like really just like
Yeah, and
left a camp around the people who suck at things. And so
it's such a cliche, and like it's every like motivational poster or speaker will have this, have quotes from like all the greatest athletes or poets or whoever, actors or musicians that ever lived. And it's all, I mean, the cliche basically is a variation of like the only reason I succeeded or got to this point is because I failed a million times before,
mhm,
you know,
yeah,
like the road to success is paved with failures or something along those lines.
sure, yeah, some
Right.
version
And
of
it's
that.
just like
Yeah.
the point that learning, you only learn, and it's true for me anyway. I don't know about you, for you, but I've always learned the most valuable lessons in my, it doesn't matter for what, if it's for work or for art or from everything else, from fucking up.
Yeah.
Like making mistakes just stick with you a lot better, and you're like, okay, what did I do wrong? It's just an effective building block to improve.
Well, and it's
And
unfortunately,
it is crazy that there's this weird, I don't know, people are like you said, like ridiculed or fail blogged to,
yeah,
oh
and
well,
it
you suck at that, wow, it's
it
fucking loser.
fail. Well, it ties
you know
back into our original discussion, which is like just yet another reason why I think that like it sucks now. It sucks now. And I don't mean for me, I mean for kids. And I mean for me too a little bit, but it's like it sucks to live in a world where you can't try and fail and for that to be okay. Like,
right.
do you know one of my favorite things in the world is skateboarding?
Hmm.
And I don't do it as much as I should, but I love skateboarding partially because of the philosophical aspect to it, which is that it's it's entirely founded on failure.
It's
It's like,
Sisyphus pushing
yeah,
pushing the rock up the hill.
yeah, exactly. And there's
Does he
no,
ever does he ever get it up to the top, by the way?
yeah, at the
He
end,
does,
yeah.
right? So it's like learning a new trick is literally Sisyphus pushing the rock up the hill.
Yep. And then you never stop, because then you try a new trick and then you have to work on that. And it's like
Hmm.
failing is important, and it teaches and it grows, and I can't imagine a world without it, but unfortunately that's the world that's developing right now.
Hmm.
And so anyway, just to kind of put a bow on everything, it's like that's my take on it all. It's like, yeah, of course it would be better if things were different, and it was okay for people to be bad at stuff, and it was okay for people to have moments where they're not perfect, and for that
Hmm.
not to become the foundation for depression and anxiety and a
Yeah.
personality and
Hmm.
an identity that grows because you made a mistake in front of people. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And then it becomes who you are, and then people know you as that, and then you have to start dressing that way. And it's like
Yeah.
you can't just have a shitty moment and then move on from it. You have to like turn it into an identity.
And it
And
comes back to that instant gratification thing a little bit, right?
yeah, yeah,
Where
it's
there's no, you don't have like your I guess what would you call it, like your foresight or your field of view, if you will,
yeah,
is so narrow and limited. Like it's, you're looking through this little tiny little box with
yeah,
like blinders on the side, where you're like, this is all the room I have to accomplish this new task I'm trying to, or this trick I'm trying to learn,
yeah.
or this whatever I'm trying to do that I've
This
never done before.
picture I'm
Whereas
taking, or
really it's
this,
like
yeah.
that box does not exist. Like that box exists only in your mind, but it's like a product of the outside world that's like placing this little box in front of you.
Yeah.
But it's not really there. you know.
Well, I mean,
But
it's easy to say from our perspective for sure, but if you were an 11-year-old girl,
oh, I still find myself looking through this box, and I'm like, I know, but I know it's not there. But it's
yeah,
hard not to. Again, because everything is so instant. It's like if I don't get this right on the first try, then what's the point? I feel like I
yeah,
don't have time to fuck around. When it's like the whole point is that you need to take the time, and you'll be so much more gratified come the end of it when you do learn and you get over that stumbling block or get over that hurdle. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And then
absolutely.
you're just like, you peel away that box and you're like, oh fuck, I've got all this room to work with, and
Yeah,
I can keep doing this, and it's, you know.
we've accidentally like stepped into like the territory where we're like hyping this podcast unintentionally, because that's
We
what
are.
this whole podcast is about. It's so meta.
It totally is, yeah.
But
But
yeah,
you know
I
what I
think
mean? Like
yeah.
it's yeah.
No, I listen, I think we're on the same page here. I think the solution to the answer to the question of whether it's better to be born when, you know, when we're young, when we were young, or young now, is we should just kill everybody.
Everyone should die. I'm
Yeah.
still excitedly waiting for the day that the sun explodes.
I hope you can hear the sighs coming out of Owen.
I heard something there, yeah, I heard a reaction. But no, I'm still waiting for someone to shoot a nuke into the sun, and then we get that news bulletin, beep, 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 and all the
It's
TVs,
happening.
all the TVs switch to
Yeah.
like the emergency broadcast channel. And
Dude,
it's
it's gonna
like,
happen.
attention. Um, China or North Korea just shot their entire nuclear arsenal into the sun. We have 12 minutes to live, and I'd be like, thank God. What were we waiting for? Let's start this whole thing over with other people in a
let's
million years, billion
let's
years.
write them a note and tell them
Yeah,
how not to do it.
this one didn't go so well. Let's start
Yeah.
over later. Try
Try
again.
and try a
Try
different
again.
one.
Try again.
Um
Um,
I think we did that one pretty nicely. I
yeah,
wanted to
it was
mention before
was
we end
very
here.
got very like inspirational, motivational at the end there a little bit.
Yeah.
That was good.
Hey, okay. I'm going to mention something here.
Okay.
Just a slight pivot here, just so that we don't end up talking for too long about this. Um, great. Oh, excuse me. Great news. You would remember a couple months ago, I talked on the podcast about how I had my identity stolen.
Yes, you did.
Uh,
Oh, do we have a
the
new development?
Well, the latest development, I guess, for me, which is the greatest news, is that as of last Friday, so 1 week ago today, I am no longer on the hook for those loans.
Oh,
So
sweet. That's good. So your
yeah,
credit rating will be back to normal soon.
yeah, so it's September, October, November, December, January, February, March. 7 months of like just like, you know, owing a lot of money. And then they sent me to the creditors, and the collection agency came
Yeah.
up, and anyway, now that part's over. So
Well,
and
that's
then I
good.
was talking to the investigator, the lead detective on the case, just not too long ago, and
Mhm.
she mentioned, she was like, yeah, I don't know if we're gonna catch anybody. And I
Yeah, I
was
think I
like,
remember you telling me that. It's kind of
yeah.
a, yeah.
I was like, all right, well, because apparently, get this, it is not standard practice for banks to photocopy your identification when you take a loan out. Isn't that crazy?
That is so insane.
Yeah, isn't that wild? And they don't keep the footage on their CCTV cameras for very long.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. If it's like the matter of like months or whatever,
Yeah,
I
so
kind of get that.
if we were like a week out from all this happening, and like we went to those people and we're like, can you describe the person? Maybe there's a chance we might get something out of them. But it's
Right.
like this, you know, 7 or 8 months later, whatever, it's like there's no way to get any of those people to remember a specific customer where
Yeah,
nothing
of
bad
course.
happened from their perspective, right? There's no
Mhm.
memorable, it's just a regular sort of interaction from them,
Yeah.
from their perspective.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I said it before and I'll say it again. If you're listening to this podcast right now, go on Equifax and TransUnion and set up alerts on your account so that you get notified if anybody, including yourself, tries to open any accounts and has a credit check on you. You'll get a phone call or an email or a text message from whichever creditor's trying to open a thing, and they'll go, is this you? And then you'll either say yay or nay. And it's the best $0 you can spend, because it would have saved me all those months of, you know, having basically bombed credit and thinking I might have to pay some of this back, you know?
This is not financial advice, though.
This is not financial advice.
That was not financial advice.
Yeah.
But no, that's good. I'm glad that's been resolved for you.
Yeah. So now, because this is what I always told myself, I was like, I'm going to get this part over with, and then I'll put like a bow on that part. And then now I'm going to start my personal investigation, which is I'm going to start
Ooh.
asking questions to people who might have answers. And then this is where the foundation of our
Of the research.
eventual, yeah, our eventual podcast episode might happen
Right.
here.
Yeah. Okay. Sick. I can't wait.
Yeah. So the investigation is ongoing. The
I can't wait to find
investigation
out.
has just begun.
I cannot wait to find out what you find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's that. So if you what was I gonna say? Fuck, I had it earlier. If you
If you
okay.
are, sorry, go ahead.
If you are right now a person who ever feels like you can't fail, or you can't do something wrong, or you can't try something out of fear of failing, and so you'll never succeed at it, give yourself a slap in the back of the head and change who you think you should be to be somebody who allows themselves to fail at stuff, because those are the only people who will ever succeed at anything.
Yeah, and I don't think it's an overnight thing either. So be patient.
Yeah, feel free to like make mistakes.
But don't be so hard on yourself. Why
Can-
why if other people are going to be hard on you, why would you pile onto that and be hard on yourself?
yeah.
Other people will do what they do, but there's no reason for you to be hard on yourself. You know?
Well, do you remember the Miss Frizzle line? I should get it tattooed on me. It's such a great
Miss
line.
Frizzle? No.
Yeah, Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't remember the first part. It was like, go out, make mistakes, and get messy, or something like. I'm gonna look it up,
But not too messy.
but not too messy.
Not too messy that you know someone else has to clean it up. Are you looking for it?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just on my phone now as well.
Take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. How's that?
Take chances, make mistakes, get messy. Yeah.
Isn't that a great, like, that's how you should live?
No, for sure.
Take chances, make mistakes, get messy.
You'll be more fulfilled and pleased with yourself when you realize that it doesn't, like, making mistakes doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Unless you make a mistake that kills someone, then it's a little different.
Well, you live and you learn.
You live and you learn. And they don't live, but you do learn.
But you do learn.
But yeah, and I think, yeah, it's not easy, again, with all these weird societal pressures and all the stimulation that everyone has all the time and the instant gratification we just talked about. But if you learn to kind of slow down and be like, whatever the people think of my failures is inconsequential, because I am learning. And
yeah.
I am growing and I am evolving to become what I want to be, or something like that. I don't know.
That was cute. That felt like a cute moment.
Yeah, that was my best Tony Robbins, I think.
Okay. If you thought Marty was inspirational just then.
Inspirational, a new segment. Inspirational or gay?
Okay.
In hindsight, I'm thinking back to what I just said, and it was pretty gay.
It was pretty gay.
It's pretty gay.
If you if you think you can handle it, then just take it. Inspirational or gay?
Inspirational or gay? I like this new segment. This is good.
It's good. Yeah. No. Yeah. If you think that Marty was inspirational or gay, write us an email at thewrongguyspodcast@gmail.com. And that's it, really, because the rest of the shit we're not there. We're not doing it. It's not happening. Although there may be some clips coming up on YouTube. So maybe
have funny happen today or noteworthy that's worth.
I don't know. I'll have to rewatch this whole thing and we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe something interesting. I'm sure there's something interesting in there.
So.
Yeah. And other than that, do you have anything else you want to add before we
I'm trying to think. I was gonna ask if you had any like other viewing recommendations. Ooh. I've recently started watching Afterlife After
Ricky Gervais.
Life. It's so good, man.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's real good. He is, I mean, like a lot of comedians, he is like kind of like stepping over into philosophy.
Yeah, it's so fucking good. And it's like he toes the line so well between like this, it's such a brilliant dark comedy,
Mm-hmm.
and the
It's
way
good.
he approaches, or at least the way he would have dealt with grief and like losing his wife of cancer and losing his dad and all this stuff, and it's like it's so brilliant, and I think it's, I don't know, I'm really really enjoying it. I was like blown away at how good it was.
I recently watched the Chris Rock stand-up special, which was
I heard it wasn't that
great.
great. Oh, it
I
was
and
okay.
I loved it. I thought it was great, and especially obviously like the highlight is when he talks about the Will Smith slap. And I'm sure you've seen those clips come up because it's like a great sort of, he does a great 5 minutes on Will Smith.
Right. I haven't
Um,
seen it. I actually haven't seen any of it at
I
all.
if I mean, you know what, you can watch the whole thing or you can watch just that part. That is definitely the highlight of the show. I think the whole
Right.
thing is great and worth watching.
Mhm.
But you should at the very least seek out that section because it is, he goes in on him, and it's like
I believe it.
everything you wanted to hear right after happened, but just a year later. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like like all this stuff we were like, when's he gonna talk about it? And then he just
He
like fucking
he's
he
like,
saved it all up.
yeah, he's like, I'm gonna make a special and you'll hear
Yeah,
about it a year from
it's
now.
it's
Yeah.
really good.
I'll have to
Um,
check that out.
I also in preparation for the new season, we've been rewatching I Think You Should Leave, Tim Robinson.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, so that's a great. I mean, that's
I'm
always
excited
there
for
for
that new
me.
season. Yeah.
Um,
Um,
and then Final
there's
Space. I started rewatching Final Space as well.
John Wick 4 comes out, I think, today.
Oh,
I'm so excited to go see John Wick 4.
okay.
Have you seen the John Wick movies?
Not even a little.
Oh, dude, they're so good.
I
They're just
should.
like they're just like they're the best action movies I've ever seen
Yeah.
for my money.
And
They're like unapologetic. They're no fluff. Like there gets to be a little bit more depth to them as far as like
sure.
layers, I guess, as the series goes on, and there's more characters and things that are kind of happening all at once. Um, but the first one is just like a 90-minute, just fucking in your face, brilliant action movie. Um, and it's just like I said, it's unapologetic. It's like we're just gonna show sick violence for
Yeah.
most of this movie,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's
yeah.
just like it's literally a guy who's on a vengeance tour to kill a bunch of bad guys who fucked him over,
Okay, that
and
sounds
it's
pretty
just,
dope.
and there's like next to no dialogue, and the dialogue is like, um, it's almost like it knows it's corny, but it
Right.
feels right. It feels perfect.
Okay.
Like Keanu Reeves is just like he'll just like grunt and just be like, they'll be like, "Are you here for this?" And he'll just be like, "Yeah," like like one of those kind of things. Like it's so corny, but it's perfect for the movie and it fits the mood and it's so fucking good. And also it's directed by a former professional stuntman.
Okay, yeah.
So the action sequences and the fight scenes and everything are like are done so well. They're gorgeous. They're beautiful in some
And
cases, and it's really well
my
filmed.
understanding is like Keanu Reeves does a lot of his weapon stuff by
Yeah,
himself. He's
I
like
think all of it.
yeah.
And he's like 60 years old now. I think.
Is he really?
I think he's close to 60,
I
and
my
he's in.
understanding is he takes it pretty seriously, kind of like Tom Cruise in the Mission
Yeah.
Impossible ones,
Hmm.
which is to me at the very least like worthy of respect. If nothing else,
Yeah.
it's like you can like it or hate it, but it's like at the very least you're like, okay, well you devoted yourself to this at the very
Yeah.
least, right?
Yeah. He did
So
all the weapons training on his own and did all the the fight scenes on his own and stuff,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
did
You
a lot of the stunt work too.
I'll talk
But yeah,
about I'll talk
you
about
should
Corridor
watch.
Crew in
You
this
should
episode
definitely
too
watch them.
because they do have some comments like from other people who have worked with him, some stuntmen who have worked with him. They do we've talked about Corridor Crew before, but they one of
Yeah.
the shows they do is Stuntmen React. So they'll have professional stuntmen come in and sit on the couch with them and then bring clips and explain how they did certain things or how they would do certain things or how certain things couldn't be done anymore.
Right.
And they talk about working with Keanu Reeves as being like a very impressive experience and stuff.
Hmm.
And I'm sure there's going to be some great videos to come out of John Wick 4. So I'm looking forward to that to come out on. I should just
Yeah.
fucking reach out to Corridor Crew and tell them how much I like them.
Yeah. May as well.
Yeah.
We can do a collaboration. I'm sure
Sure. Yeah. They're on our level.
But yeah, I was gonna say watch watch the John Wick movies,
All right,
and
cool.
then
John Wick 4
comes out. And I thought there was one more that I was thinking of, but I don't think. Oh, the new season of Love Is Blind is out today, so I'm gonna watch that on Netflix. It's the worst type of guilty pleasure, but it's just so fascinating to watch people navigate these weird um interpersonal relationships on this weird reality show. It's fucking fascinating.
I'm glad it makes you happy.
I don't know that it does, but I'm it's just enough of a train wreck to keep me interested.
Do you ever like have a moment where you've been like watching this show? Wait. Where you've been watching this show for a while and you get to a point and you just you turn an episode off and you go, I don't know if this is making my life any better. And you have to
100%.
you have to break up with a show.
1000%.
Yeah.
I was doom scrolling on Netflix a little while ago and I ended up settling on a new reality show that they did. And I watched the first 3 episodes before I was like, what the it was called Perfect Match, I think. And it's literally like an amalgamation of contestants from other reality shows that Netflix has had.
Okay.
And they like throw them all in this fucking mansion and they're all like there's an odd number of guys and girls, I think. And basically if you want to survive on the show and stay for another night, you have to pair off with someone.
Okay.
And then like the odd person that's left out is eliminated, but then they bring someone else in to replace that person. It's either a guy or girl from, again, one of like 6 or 7 reality shows that's been on Netflix before. So I think it's constant revolving door of just reality show nobodies.
Sure.
He's trying to like pair up with other people, and everyone's beautiful, and everyone's gorgeous, and everyone's ripped and everything. But I watched like 2 or 3 episodes of it, and I had exactly what you're saying. I was like, what? I can't do this. I can't fall. I feel like I can have 1 or 2 kind of guilty pleasure reality shows where I'm like, I will allow myself this much, where I can shut my brain off and just like zone out for an hour. But to do more than 1, I don't think I can. But I do remember having when Love Is Blind, when the last season finished, they always do like it'll be like whatever 10 or 12 episodes, and then all the couples that pair off in these little pods, like it all builds up to them getting married. And then
Okay.
they all step up to the altar, and then it boils down to, do they both say yes or does one of them say no? And then like some of them say no at the altar.
I would hope so.
Right? And all this drama unfolds from that, and then they always do like a year later they do like a little mini 2 or 3 episode like where are they
Reunion.
now?
Yeah.
They do a reunion, but then they also do like a year later,
Okay.
where is everyone now? How's everyone doing? And I remember seeing when the Love Is Blind season 3, when they had like the year later episodes came out, I was like, oh, sick. I'm so down. I was like, no, wait, why? I shouldn't be down for this. This is so dumb. This is the worst fucking, like, it's 90 minutes of TV. I could watch a sick movie or I could read a book for 90 minutes, but I was like, oh, I'm so excited to watch.
Oh man.
And I was like, what the fuck is happening to me? This is terrible.
The worst part is if somebody wanted to take over the world, it could happen without anybody giving a shit because we're all busy. Like we're all distracted. You know what I mean?
Fucking
It's
distracted.
Like we're all over here like pretending like the COVID vaccine's gonna do it. And it's like really it's TV. Like we're willingly sitting here letting people take our minds over.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Bad. It's so awful.
This just made me think, we're talking about reality shows. Have you heard of MILF Manor? Have I brought up MILF Manor yet?
No.
Oh. I mean, we may what are we at time-wise?
We're at a minute 10 or an hour 10 minutes.
An hour 10? Okay, well, I can probably finish off with this then. It's not too bad. So
finish off with MILF Manor.
Finish off with MILF Manor. Oh no, it's gonna make me think of another TLC show that I just saw about. Okay, do you want to start with the gross one or the weird one? They're both gross in their different ways.
Hit me with gross first, and then weird. We'll finish on weird.
Okay. So they're both TLC shows, which is why I'm now thinking
about
the 2 of them. So the gross one, I just saw this on a YouTube clip of Shane Gillis, who's I think my new favorite comedian. I think he's so funny. Shane Gillis went on the Joe Rogan podcast and told him about this TLC Hoarders episode that he had seen.
Okay.
And he was like, it's the only episode of Hoarders he's ever seen, but it was the most horrifying, disgusting one. So I watched the clip that he talked about and like showed Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan was like trying not to vomit on set. He was probably stoned, but he was like, oh my god, I can't look, I might throw up. I might actually throw up.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you later.
Okay.
But essentially this woman, oh god, it's horrible. She's a hoarder, but she's hoarding a lot of her own like piss and shit.
Oh.
In like
jars and
big water jugs and stuff.
Tupperware, I assume.
The toilet either doesn't work or is so completely like blocked off by other shit that she basically shits in one of those Home Depot buckets.
Okay.
She shits and pisses in his Home Depot bucket. And then when it gets too full, like she's not big or strong enough to like lug this big heavy bucket outside or anywhere to get rid of it. So she there's a clip of her she gets like a smaller like bowl, looks like a dog food bowl or something, and then gets a coffee mug and like goes into the big Home Depot bucket and just like scoops out all that messy liquid into this dog bowl and then brings it outside and just like throws it into her garden.
Oh.
Right. And then she's doing this because her mother used to do the same thing. Her mother used to like keep all of her piss and shit in jars and containers. So now she's doing the same thing that her mother used to do. And she's been doing it for like 8 years or something. And they show shots of like the house, and there's like these big, like those big 10-gallon jugs of water you can bring for camping trips or whatever, full of this like bubbly brown water. There's like jugs and jugs and jugs of it.
That's what
right?
dogs eat. Dogs that eat shit, and it was from watching their moms do it when they were puppies.
But there's more.
Okay.
So,
oh, good.
there's so much more. So there's obviously fecal matter and like piss and shit everywhere in this house.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's horrifying to think about what it might smell like.
Yeah.
And then the show hosts or whatever come into the house, and they ask her about like the smell. And they're like, what do you think is causing the smell? And she's like, very matter of fact. And she's like, oh, it's because of all the dust and mold in the walls and in the air ducts and shit. And they're like, no, it's from all the piss and shit everywhere. And she's like, what? No, are you sure about that? And they're like, yeah. No, it's from all the fecal matter and the urine that is literally everywhere inside your house. Like just out and about. And she's like, what? Are you sure? And she's like, well, I feel like if I had known about this earlier, I would have known what to do about the smell. And you're like, yeah, you're full of shit. And then they show her in the kitchen at one point. And I think all she eats is like soup, like clam chowder or something. That's like all she eats.
Oh my God.
She's too lazy to have like real like bowls or whatever, like ceramic bowls or dishes. She's too lazy to have real dishes, so she just has paper plates and paper bowls.
Okay.
But her microwave doesn't work, so she has a toaster oven. And so what she does is she layers like 2 bowls and then like dumps the clam chowder into these paper bowls, and then she'll like turn on the toaster oven for like a 20-minute timer, and she puts the clam chowder in there for 20 minutes. That's how she reheats her meals. And it's paper plate inside a toaster oven. And at one point, one of the cameramen is like, I think something's burning in here. And she's like, oh, yeah, no, that happens. Like, obviously, it's paper in a toaster oven. Like, they just catch fire a little bit. It's fine. It'll be fine. And then she takes it out, and she's like sitting on this pile of whatever garbage in her kitchen, and she's just like slurping up this clam chowder. And they're like, do you like wash your hands like when you're done going to the washroom and stuff? Like, are you gonna like wash up or clean up, or like when you bring your pail of piss and shit water outside, like do you clean up when you do that? And she's like, no, not really. She's like, I'm not going to. I'm just like, it's whatever, it's fine.
How do you go so wrong? How do you like, it's like each one of those things.
Like, her face is like puffy and swollen. Well, she's probably fighting off so many infections and so much weird shit happening to her.
But like the point is like it was each one. Yeah,
it was disgusting. And I'm sorry, I should have given a trigger warning before I went off on this weird piss shit.
I might cut that whole thing out.
You may cut the whole thing out, maybe, or just put in a trigger warning,
or it'll be a separate clip.
Yeah, but yeah, it was. I think I was obviously grossed out by it when I watched it, but the fact that Shane Gillis thought it was so fucking funny, I think is what just like it like disarmed it a little bit for me, because he's laughing and he's like, no one else thinks it's funny except for him, and he's dying of laughter watching this woman like just ruin her life. Jesus. At one point they're like cleaning out her kitchen, and there's like a loaf of bread that's covered in mold, and then like the one lady's gonna go throw it out, and she's like, no, like I'll keep that. And she's like, what do you mean? This loaf of bread is covered in mold. And she's like, I'm obviously gonna scrape the mold off before I eat it. And gross. She's like, this is perfectly normal.
Okay.
Anyways, spoiler alert, if anyone decides to go back and watch this episode, she ends up in a mental hospital and they bulldoze her house. So
Yeah, that seems about like the only move you can make. It's like, what else? There's
Yeah.
no coming back from that.
He ends up in like the psych ward or something, and the city's like, yeah, no, this house is done. We cannot save this house. It's
Um,
way beyond repair.
okay, and then the other one was the
MILF Manor. So this
MILF
one,
Manor.
MILF Manor. I've got to be honest, I haven't actually watched um any episodes of it, but I've seen this YouTube guy that I like who does these like weird reaction videos or these funny reaction videos. I've just watched his like 15 to 20 minute recaps of like the first 6 episodes. So I get the gist of what's going on. But basically, it's another dating show
Of
on
course.
TLC. And you'll be able to pick up what the twist is right away. But it's a bunch of I'll say middle-aged women or women in the between like their 40s and like late 50s or maybe early 60s or whatever who
Right.
go on this dating show.
Yeah.
And can you guess what the twist is? Can you guess who they
Can
might be dating?
can I take a shot at it?
Take a shot. It's super
Okay.
obvious.
There's a bunch of 50 to 70-year-old women or whatever, and then there's
Yeah.
probably a bunch of like hot 20 to 30-year-old dudes,
Sure.
and they like date each other, but one of the dudes is one of the ladies' kids, so they're all like,
Oh,
is that
you're
what it
actually
is?
pretty close.
Yeah.
All of the dudes are all of the ladies' kids.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There you go.
So it's like 8 women and their 8 sons, and they're all in this house together, and they're all dating each other at the same time.
I mean,
It's spectacular. It's a spectacular train wreck from what I've seen from the clips and shit that I've seen.
yeah.
It is a lot to handle, and the producers, I think, were just like, we're just gonna go ahead. This is weird and uncomfortable as possible. There's like one scene where the women, is it the women that are blindfolded? Yeah, I think the women are blindfolded, and all the dudes are shirtless, and the women have to like go feel all the
Grope.
dudes up, grope all the dudes shirtless bodies, and figure out which one is their son.
Oh.
Yeah. There's another one where the name of the game was like you had to write down the most crazy whatever explicit sexual thing you'd ever done was and like put it on this corkboard, and then there's going to be like everyone gets in the same room and they all pull one thing off at a time and go like, oh, I had sex with a cop in his cop car one time, and be like, oh, I think that was you. Like they'll have to try and guess
Okay, sure.
whose thing was whose,
Like an
or whatever.
association thing, yeah.
Essentially, yeah. It's like, or I whatever had a threesome whatever at church, whatever. There's all these weird sexual escapades that people have had. And one woman wrote down that she had sex with her son's best friend and put that on the on the corkboard.
Cool.
Oh, dude.
What a cool way to announce that to your kid.
You should see, first of all, this woman's a fuck, like, of all the things you could decide or think of to put on, like, even if you're those, I don't know, like a super sexually liberated person doing all these kinds of weird sex shit, like, why would just write literally anything else? Literally anything else. You should see when that comes up and the mom's like, oh, yeah, no, that was me. Her son, you can see his soul leave his body. He's just like, oh my God, he's completely destroyed. And he gets fucking hammered that night. And then there's a scene where he's like naked swimming in the pool, and he's just like talking to no one in particular, but he's like talking to the producers, like he forgets that he's on a show or whatever. And it's so just, it's heartbreaking in a weird way, because this poor kid's life is like, he's just been completely crushed by his mom, finding out that his mom fucked his best friend, you know?
I mean, all this for
And it just,
$50,000 and some fucking
I don't even know.
instant fame or whatever.
Another
right?
weird dynamic where they like the moms and sons share the same bedrooms, like not the same bed, but they have their, like a hotel room basically, but they have
Sure.
their respective beds, but it's in the same room. So if one of the moms is feeling horny and wants to bring another guy back in, or vice versa, there's like a third person there, and it's like they're related. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like if mom wants to bring this other dude back to her bed, she's gonna have to do it next to her son,
Oh.
who's just like hanging out.
It's one of those things where it feels to me like it's the first step in trying to normalize shit that isn't normal.
Oh, it's
Do you know what I mean?
unbelievable, man.
And it's that whole like incest porn thing where it's just kind of like, if we do it enough, everyone's going to be on board, and then I can fuck my sister. And it's like, who is doing this?
I
Someone's
guess,
doing
yeah.
this, and I don't like it.
It's, I would love to be in these like boardroom meetings, like trying to
Oh,
pitch
the
the
pitch
next reality
meetings for
show.
these things. Yeah,
The pitch
absolutely.
meetings must be a fucking riot. They must be so fucking funny. It's
All right,
literally
well-
like those skits where you see they're just like ripping lines of coke and be like, "What if we did this?
Yeah.
Pick 8 moms and their 8 sons, and we'll throw them in a house together." And be like, "Fuck yeah, it's fucking genius. Green light. Let's go. Start casting tomorrow." You know. Anyways,
Sorry, I'm fucking yawning.
if you want to get your fill of MILF Manor without having to commit to watching the show in its entirety, which I don't think anyone in their right mind. A friend of mine tried to do it. She got halfway through episode 2 and she's like, "My brain, I can
can't.
feel my brain dissolving." She's like, "My brain is starting to mush."
There's real people, real. You know what? Okay, can I just say this real quick? My friend Mike used to always say, he's like, whenever I start getting really angry with somebody, I remind myself that used to be a baby, and it just humanizes them a little bit. And it's like I started thinking of people.
Child.
Yeah, I started thinking of people as like babies, and it's like it really makes me like empathetic to the fact that there are real people who used to be babies, who like grew up with so much potential, who are putting themselves in that situation. For what? What are you gaining out of that? Because obviously it's not like they just picked people off the street. Like people auditioned, there was a process, they were vetted.
Yeah.
There was in like people, you have to want to go all the way through.
There
right?
must be a paycheck involved. I'm assuming a lot of this is money.
And if that's what it is, that's almost even sadder.
I know,
because it's like you're doing all this for money.
Yeah.
Like how bad do you need money? That you want to watch your mom bang some dude? God, I just I feel for people.
I was gonna say, if you want to watch like a funny recap of this show, this YouTuber's name is Cody Ko.
Yeah.
He's a guy I watch a lot. He's just search Cody. Ko is spelled just Ko, and he's done a lot of really funny episode recaps of MILF Manor. So
there you go, MILF Manor.
Enjoy that.
If you want to be on season 2 of MILF Manor, send us an email at thewrongguyspodcast@gmail.com. And if not, I would say you're probably better off if you don't send us that email specifically. Send us another email to say why you didn't send us that email, and then send us a third email to tell us why the second email makes more sense than the first email. Mostly just send us an email. That's all I want. Just send us an email.
Emails. Yes.
Yeah.
Please do.
And I would say on that note, I think we should fucking call it there. We're at an hour and 23 minutes.
Yeah, it's good. Well, we haven't talked in a while, so I think it was we got carried away, but that's fine.
Sweet. All right, and we'll try and do this again soon.
I hope so.
All right. Well, peace out, podcast.
See you later.